So with algorithms and like building your whole business and your platform, like you're still not in control of it at the end of the day. And that's a thought I've always had in the back of my head, like long before I did content. I'm like, this could just be gone tomorrow.
I think your TikTok profile says you're a Minnesota transplant friend.
Yes,
right?
Probably something like that.
Something like that. What does that mean? Can you unpack that a little bit?
Yeah, so I moved here almost 2 years ago now, and I've been making content for maybe 4 years now. And when I moved to Minnesota, I had taken a couple months not focusing on content. I didn't really know what I was going to make for content anymore because I was living in Orlando and I would make Disney content. And then when I started making content again, I just filmed a video and put it out there of me talking, and that was it. And it just took off. And that's when I got introduced to this whole Minnesota world. And I've gotten hundreds and hundreds of comments of people saying like they love watching my videos. They get like a fresh take and like see their own space through fresh eyes. So I say like Minnesota transplant friend in a sense that like I am someone who people can come to with questions. I've answered tons of questions in my DMs. So that's essentially what that means.
I think it's a brilliant way to put it because, I mean, when you look at your content too, you do it in such an accessible, authentic way. We're like, oh, okay, this person's talking to me like they're my friend, like they're showing off, this new, area that they moved to. So yeah, I thought it was a brilliant piece of kind of positioning. So I think, you're probably close to what, like 100,000 combined fans on platforms. I don't know everything you're on, but
combined, that's probably about that.
What was kind of the moment you thought this creator thing was working for you?
You know what? It was so I moved here in June of 2023, and I think I started to get like invited places in like late July and August of that year.
That's
so
quick.
I was like, it was very quick, and I was like, wow, like I was never like invited to places like that in Orlando. Like I would get reached out to by random brands and things like that, but that was the extent of it. So I think the Minnesota State Fair was one of the ones that reached out to me first. And I was like, this is awesome. Like I didn't know what they wanted me to do. They're just like, hey, come make a video for us. This is for opening day. They gave me a lot of creative freedom, and I would just make videos in the same format that I make them for anything. And so I gave it the first year. I was like, I'm going to see if this continues. Is this momentum going to die off? I have no idea. I mean, it's to this day, it's still good. Like,
what, I mean, kind of an obvious question, but what do brands get out of inviting somebody like yourself to come and hang out and produce some content?
When a business reaches out to a creator, they essentially want access to their audience would be, I think, the overarching theme.
Mm-hmm.
Some businesses, depending on like how successful they are or if they need more help, might just want the content out there for like long-term searchability. I think that would be the main drawers.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So DMs are open. They just slide in and say, hey, we're doing this thing. Can you come? And I know probably events will give you free tickets, but some companies will pay for that too, right?
Yeah. I have gotten some paid opportunities. In the first year, I'd say first year and a half, I got a lot. Which is great. Like, it was totally new world for me to get paid just money to make content. And like, I thought that was absolutely incredible. But I also had to come to a point where I'm like, I feel like I'm getting too like addy, and I want to like stay grounded a little bit.
I mean,
like,
you have a relationship with your audience too, and you do too many of those, and all of a sudden,
right,
you're just a NASCAR race car with stickers all over it.
Right. And then you have, I think, like what's interesting right now, and this does heavily apply to the Minnesota like world, is as the landscape online changes, I feel like you have to be more and more clear if something is paid, is gifted, is like, obviously that's always been a hot topic with influencers worldwide. I don't think anyone really knows how to navigate it. There's no rule book that somebody gives you when you get a following online. You're pretty much figuring it out on your own. Everyone has their own rules, and I've just started to be like, I'm just gonna say it. Like, I paid this much. I'm gonna tell you how much I paid if I paid for this, because like I do pay for a lot of, like 90% of my videos I'm paying for the stuff. And I think people are receptive to that. So but if I was doing a paid ad every single video, people are going to lose interest for sure.
But it's also a lot of work, right? And I'm sure there's intangible benefits from doing all this, and we'll get into that. But like, I always find it confusing when I'll see people like rip on creators in their comments saying like, I can't believe you're shilling for this brand, or you're, basically saying you're changing the nature of our relationship because you're now sponsored. And to me, it's always like they're just jealous, But I think, yeah, finding that line has to be difficult, right? Like, have you found like there's a certain pattern you can do, 3 or 4 organic and then 1 paid, or is it just pretty random?
For me, it's pretty random. Things definitely get busier if there are paid opportunities, since everything in Minnesota is very seasonal. It's usually more in the summer months, so which can be difficult because that is a busy season here and there's a lot going on. And I still work full time. So lately, I got to the point, I'd say a year and a half in, where I needed to take a step back and be like, I don't need to take an opportunity if it doesn't align with me, if I don't have the time for it, or if it's something that I just really don't want to do. I don't need to do it. And like, that's hard for me to say no to an opportunity, because I like want to help everybody, but I can't. And so I've had to set some boundaries for myself, because it does take a lot of time to schedule it, to go and film it, and then to edit it. And then the voiceover, since most of my content is voiceover, like the voiceover and then the captions, like that's what takes me out, is those last 2 steps every time take so long. And so I personally have found that I just have to be more selective on what I'm accepting. And then it's random as far as when I'll put it out.
Right.
Like, I'll pretty much put it out close to when I go and film it. I'll get it done, put it out there, and on to the next.
What drew you to this in the first place? Some people are just natural storytellers. They don't mind being out there. Was there something that pulled you in originally?
I've been interested in social media since it was developed on the internet, especially Instagram. I got my first smartphone. This was like before iPhones, because like I had to get a phone that had Instagram capabilities, because that's where my friends were. And it's been a journey, balancing a healthy social media relationship over my life. And since that point, because that was like middle school, but I've also always been interested in video production. So like in high school, I took video production classes. I made absolutely terrible music videos with my friends in them.
Same.
Like I was all about that. I absolutely loved it.
Were you a High School Musical kid, that era?
I was not in High School Musical, like the movie?
Yeah.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
No, I'm turning 30 this year, and my 30th birthday is like Disney Channel original
There you
theme.
go. All right.
So
Nice.
very much about all of that. But when I've always loved video specifically, like photos, never really like got on board with that. And so I moved down to California right after high school. My father lived down there, so it was an easy transition, and started studying public relations, and, wanted to be in that film world, but just not doing like the video part of it. So when the social media world transitioned to video, that's when I really leaned into it. I'm like, or in TikTok, I would say, would be the catalyst of what led me to it. That's when I just started making content, and it looked a lot different than it does now. Like even before Minnesota, like I would do the silly trends and things like that. No, not the dance videos, but like just random
Safe
little
space
things.
is okay. No one will judge.
No dance videos for me. And then that transitioned into Disney, because my last job before I moved here was a VIP tour guide at Disney World.
Oh, no kidding.
And that was like the dream. That's like the highest level park role that you can have.
You get like a special vest, right? Are you one of those that?
It's plaid. It's very obvious. Yep. Yeah, I was one of those. And like, I mean, you're the a storyteller for that family for the day or however many days. And there's a lot of other things that go into that. But now that I'm here, like, I love that I still get to do that.
Okay, I didn't plan on asking about this, but what's your favorite ride?
Oh, Guardians of the Galaxy
It's incredible.
in Epcot, absolutely the best ride that's ever existed.
Yeah, I went last year and got to do that twice. I'd do it every day if I could.
But yeah, absolutely love my time with that. But very happy with where I've landed, and it's all good.
Yeah. Yeah, so I went to your TikTok feed and sorted by oldest.
Oh, no.
And it was good back then. I mean, and you haven't, and this is going to be a compliment, you haven't changed that much. It seems like you kind of had your thing, and maybe that's because you were doing it for a few years previously, but it was just you, and watching it now, it's still just you, which I kind of found great, because a lot of people will like try a lot of things, and I'm sure you have, but I couldn't tell. It just seemed like natural.
Well, thank you. I'm glad to hear that. I remember telling somebody from my childhood who still follows me on social media back in Seattle, when I started going viral for the Disney stuff, they're like message me and they said, "This is awesome, like, congratulations." And I'm like, yeah, like, it's cool. Like, when you go viral for the first time, like, it's shifts your whole world. And I remember I did nothing like that whole day. I was just refreshing, and I'm like, this is absolutely insane. And it was a video of me talking about Disney. I told her in the message, I was like, I love this, but I really like don't want to get into the Disney content. Like, I want to do lifestyle stuff. So I'm glad that it just took a few years and a move, but I got there eventually.
Yeah, I also sorted by most popular, and you have numerous multi-million viewed videos. Is there anything consistent amongst them?
Not consistent.
Or is it just random?
It's random. And like, I wish there was some secret formula to go viral, but my personal beliefs are that there is not. I remember my first viral video, and this is when I really decided to start dedicating, was I was doing the silly little videos, and then I went on a Disney cruise, and I vlogged that Disney cruise, and those videos took off. And that's when I was like, okay, like, maybe I can do this. Like, maybe people will watch. And that's when I started to really gain followers too.
But yeah, that emotion of seeing that first one kind of blow up, are you just getting tons of like alerts on your phone? And you're like, I don't know what's happening right now, and it's just popping? Or like, walk me through that process.
Well, current day, I don't have any platforms push notifications on. They're all off.
Good.
And I think I just opened the app and I was like, that's a big number. I was like, that's not the same as the other numbers. Something is going on here. And from there, it's just like nonstop, like, notifications coming in. And at a certain point, like, now I just stop reading comments too. I just don't even.
Why bother? Yeah.
Yeah.
How do you decide what to cover? Are you just kind of impromptu, or do you make a plan? Is there any strategy around that?
Like, for my personal account, I don't have a strategy at all. And I know that's like, that might be very different than other people. I know that's different than other people, but it's just not what works for me. And in my own personal platform, it's pretty much aligns with whatever I'm doing or have recently done. And that's that. I mean, there's very little batch content that I have that I might push out, like, if I don't have anything going on for a while, but most of it's pretty fresh.
So you're just living life, and
Just
I mean, I
living
think
life.
that is, I think that helps in the authentic piece, right? You're not manipulating, you're not, overdoing it. I mean, there's that big movement towards low effort content, which I don't think yours is, but you're clearly not attempting to, push the audience in a particular direction or get them to do X, Y, or Z. You're just
No.
out there documenting.
Right. Yeah, that's never been my goal. And I get the low effort content and why people are going that direction. And I will say, like, I have gone on TikTok and recorded a video, like, looking like a mess sitting on my couch. Like, and those videos do very well. So I get it. It's just like, you do have to sometimes not put any thought to it. And there's people who say, like, you do content and plan all this stuff and spend all this time, and then you put it out there and it doesn't do well. But then the ones you don't put that much effort into do well. And like, there's a little bit of truth to it. I think you can find a balance.
Well, I think it's partially to, the whole makeup trend or the in your car trend. Like those are intentional. People are doing that to make it look like it's often impromptu. And sometimes it is, but it's like, hey, this is just an intimate moment between friends, right?
Yeah.
I.e. broadcast to millions of people simultaneously.
Yeah.
Right? So, yeah.
It's like the people who eat in their cars, those are my least favorite. I'm like, every food vlog is in the car. I'm like, this doesn't work for me.
Yeah. Well, it's almost, it's a genre in and of itself.
Yeah.
So you have a 9 to 5 as well. How is juggling the two? It seems seamless, or is it a struggle to find time to film content?
I wouldn't say it's seamless. I'm good at planning when I'm going to events or things like that around my work schedule, so I've been pretty good with that. The hardest part is still getting to that like post-production stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes it just gets like pushed back and I don't get around to it because I'm too tired, or I want to just hang out at home for the evening and like I'm also like working with content and stuff all day at work. So like sometimes I just need a break after work and stuff. So I'll try to focus it on like weekends, or sometimes I will be in the mood to just like go home and continue editing because I enjoy it. And so I have to make sure that it's still something that I'm enjoying to be able to do that though. So
yeah. Are you worried about burning out at all, or it hasn't gotten to that level?
I've burned out before. And so I just like need to take a step back. And again, that maybe looks like not posting as much or not saying yes to all these events and things like that. So I think I've handled burnout this year so far a lot better than I have in the past.
Yeah. Have you thought about the long game at all? Do you see yourself doing this style, forever? Or have you thought about, pivoting, or you're just kind of doing what you do and see what happens?
Pretty much doing what I'm doing and see what happens.
It's so much, it's mentally so much better and easier.
Yeah, I've never been a long game type of person, like in anything in my life. Like my husband and I have lived in 4 different states in the last 10 years. And like 10 years ago, I wouldn't have told you we would even leave California. So life changes so much, like, and this world changes so much. I can't plan that far in advance for anything.
Well, and the tech changes so much. Audience viewing habits change so much.
And the algorithm, like, I'm at the mercy of these apps. Like, these apps could shut down tomorrow. And I think I want to say people realize that with TikTok, but I also think we have like a really bad short-term memory problem. Like COVID, I'm like, this shifted our entire world. And now we're just like, I think things are a little bit different in Minnesota, but like in Florida, things shifted back real quick. And I was like, something is not right here. So with algorithms and like building your whole business and your platform, like you're still not in control of it at the end of the day. And that's a thought I've always had in the back of my head, like long before I did content. I'm like, this could just be gone tomorrow. Like service, like phone service could be gone tomorrow and I couldn't call my friends. And so like, these are just like deep thoughts at this point.
Yeah.
But it's true at the end of the day.
I mean, you have a 9 to 5, so you're somewhat insulated, right? But there's certain influencers that build like these huge businesses on TikTok alone. And when that was under threat to go away, they had to be shitting bricks, right? Like their entire thing that they've worked the last 5 years on could be gone,
I'm sure they were. And that's when you see people that get to that level of stardom or like status, that's when they start to invest in other things like drinks and chips and random makeup brands.
I just saw a message today, and not that this has to be a Mr. Beast podcast, but he makes more money off of chocolate than he does his content.
Oh, I believe it.
Which is like pretty insane considering he launched it just a couple years ago, and he's been doing the YouTube thing for 15 or 20 probably. Yeah. There's lots of ways to monetize that audience, but threading that needle is tricky.
Yeah.
So has being popular on socials improved your personal life in any way? Are you like meeting new people? Is it led to opportunities that, because we know there's negatives too, and you could talk about that, but any intangible things that you found being out there?
I mean, I've had a lot of opportunities come my way just to experience events and things that I wouldn't have known about. And so, especially being brand new to this place and the fact that I moved here with no friends, no family, knowing nothing about the Midwest. I'd been here for like a whole 24 hours before. It really helped me like learn a lot and feel welcomed and like get out of my apartment and go explore new things. And so that really, I think, helped me get out of my shell. And I have met new people. Like I've met friends through it. I started a group called Mini Social Meetups, and it's kind of on pause at the moment. But in that first year, I held like 4 or 5 different meetups. I met new people. I've, found really great friends. And so that's because of social media. Like I wouldn't have, like I've met people through people now, but I wouldn't have met that first person if they had not DM'd me. And I had a lot of people after those first viral Minnesota videos reach out, inviting me to hang out, like go grab a coffee, things like that. And I kind of just had to, I mean, it's still online. So I had to just use my best judgment as far as if I did that or not.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
No creepy serial killer.
yeah, no, thankfully that didn't happen. But then I developed this group because I'm like, clearly there's a need for people to meet more people. And that's something that I've actually always been passionate about and I've wanted to do. There's a girl in New York who is an influencer now. She has kind of like a crazy social media story, but she initially started a group called No More Lonely Friends.
Mm,
And it was out of New York, but when it first gained a lot of popularity, she actually traveled to other cities and would hold these friendship meetups.
that's cool.
And I really wanted her to come to Orlando, and she only does it in New York now, but Orlando's also a very different scene. And so, and I didn't have like the bandwidth to do it myself down there. Um, so when I moved here and discovered this whole Minnesota audience, I was like, I might as well try. And it went really well. And I've kind of put it on a pause, but there is a need for people to have authentic connections. So I think it's important to create spaces where you have this online community, but then you can take it offline and like real life situations. So that's something that I really enjoy and am still passionate about.
That's very cool. And any negatives? Obviously, being visible, in the online space, you're always inviting, the trolls come out. Or just like we talked about the workload and burnout. Anything stand out to you like that you've had to learn some hard lessons?
There's always definitely going to be negatives and trolls and all that kind of stuff. Minnesotans are definitely very opinionated, and that doesn't necessarily like scare me or anything like that. The social culture here is just so different than how I was raised and like the other places that I've lived. So it's been an interesting, like it could be a whole case study. I'm
Mhm.
sure there are case studies on it. Um, but I've had to kind of just like adjust my thinking to that. And like, if people leave their opinions under my videos, that doesn't really bother me. I've been able to kind of just like brush it off. The criticism is always worse for me if it comes from like, not my inner circle, but like something a little bit more closer to not just like a random person on the internet. Like,
Mm.
maybe somebody who knows me or somebody that I've met before. And it's like, that's when it gets a little bit weird. And I have to really sit and think about that one. But,
Yeah.
um, and I think the anxiety, I've had anxiety for a really long time, unmedicated. And I recently started anxiety medication and didn't realize like how bad my anxiety was. So
Like,
it's a
oh,
lot.
that's what that was.
Yeah. I'm like, it's a lot better now than it was before. But going places would cause me anxiety after a while, especially like when I was getting started and like I would get approached in public a lot. And like people would flag me down in Costco, like in a total whine, like these Trader Joe's. And thankfully, like I've kind of know how to navigate those conversations because it did happen a couple times in Orlando. But it's just like this ongoing, I don't know, weird mental thing, but I've gotten less anxiety about going places like and like being recognized. So, but that did cause me a lot of anxiety at first.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah. That's a lot to deal with, I'm sure.
It's so local here and so like more community based that I just have to tell myself I don't have anything to be worried about. Like if people approach me, they just want to say hi. And that's what it's been 100% of the time. So I'm just worrying over nothing.
Yeah, I'm sure the overwhelming majority of people are rooting for you.
I would hope so.
I'm positive of that. Yes. Okay. Speaking of Minnesota, any underrated things you want to share about the state that you found?
Underrated?
Yeah,
I mean, the whole state is underrated.
that's kind of your thing, right?
Yeah, never thought about Minnesota for a minute before like moving here. Not a minute of my life. And like little did I know there's so much happening here. Like so much it's actually kind of crazy. Might be a little bit insane. Because I've lived in a lot of big cities and with a lot of things happening, but here it's just a whole different ball game. And we've had more people visit us, like friends and family, come to visit us in Minnesota in the last 2 years than we did in the 6 years we lived in Florida.
No kidding. In Orlando.
Yeah, no.
Plus.
And if they were, then we were taking them to Disney, and that's a whole like lot of effort. So this is so much more enjoyable and people love it. Like they're visiting us over and over again and I love that. So and now I'm just trying to convince some of them to move here and,
Right,
and we'll be
right.
good.
Yeah, yeah. No, I mean, obviously I'm here. I agree with all that. But any particular thing surprise you? Like nature, the arts, the food scene? I mean, it sounds like all the above a little bit.
It's definitely all of the above. I think the music scene definitely surprised me. I am very general with my music taste, but the fact that there's so many music venues between St. Paul and Minneapolis is crazy. Like there's so many in this little tiny region. And usually major cities have like your small club, your medium club, your big club, your arena, your stadium, and that's like it. And this is like there's like a billion different options here. And the plus side to that is you have a lot of tourists that stop through here. There's places like Seattle and Florida get shafted a ton on big concerts. So loving the music scene here. We've been to more concerts again in the last 2 years than we did in the previous 6. So, and tons more lined up this year. So music scene and food scene, I would say, are the 2 biggest. Food scene is also insane.
Yeah, I mean, having lived here, I came here in the mid-90s. Not great back then.
I can imagine.
Yeah.
I will say there are still, I think there's so many restaurants here. And I've thought about this a lot, but the difference is there's so many like more elevated dining experiences and not a lot of fast casual places. There are and a lot of great coffee shops. Like I'm
Incredible.
very happy about that because I'm a big coffee shop person coming from Seattle. But my husband visits LA a lot. We still have friends out there. That's where he's from. We go to places like Habit Burger, In-N-Out, like cheap, easy, and fresh and good food. And that's not breaking the bank. But here it's like, I'm going out to a nice sit-down restaurant like every week. Like, what is my life at this point? I wish there was a little bit more fast casual places, but I still love it regardless.
Yeah. Well, yeah, LA has tacos on us, that's for sure. We haven't quite figured that out yet.
Yeah, we're loving the food scene here. And then I think the other point to that is also weeding out like the actual really good places versus places that are just trying to be trendy. And that's in every city like that you've had to do that. But here there's just the quantity is so big that it takes a lot of money and a lot of time to sort through those things.
And like new places popping up all the time too.
And closing. My favorite place for lunch just closed, Fitchin in the Mill District.
Oh, I hadn't been there.
I don't know if you heard that. It's like a healthy, it's like crisp and green, but it was locally owned and their ingredients were amazing. Like it was so good. And the price point wasn't bad at all. I think it was location at the end of the day. But they closed after a year, so I was very sad.
That's bummer.
But I guess, again, that's just the way it goes in the city.
Places that are still open or anything that you've done recently, anything stand out in terms of restaurants or meals?
We recently got invited to experience the themed dinner at Travail.
Oh, I saw your video on that, yeah.
That As far as experimental dining goes, like, they're knocking it out of the park.
And they've been doing it for a long time.
And good for them because, like, they're doing it right and they have staff that's invested and passionate about it, and, like, that's where half of the success is gonna come from, and then you have amazing food product that is going with it. Like, I had very low expectations, and me and my husband's more of a food critic than I am. Like,
Mhm.
he'll give me a lot
Mhm.
of inspiration for the food videos. I tell him all the time he should start his own food account, but um that'll have to be his decision. But we both were so impressed by Travail.
Mm.
And then we also did try Four Paws recently in St. Paul.
Mhm.
Also wasn't sure what to expect with that, and it was very good.
Mhm.
Definitely pricier, so
Fine dining, yeah.
yeah, fine dining, special occasion.
Yep.
But very good food. Everything was great.
Mhm. Yeah, interesting building too.
Yes, it gives me Savannah, Georgia vibes, and I love Savannah, so
Yeah, totally. Is there anything, speaking from the outsider perspective, anything that Minnesotans should be doing better? Anything that we struggle with or room for improvement?
and as a whole, yes. Um, I haven't I've thought about this a little bit, and I'm not a psychology expert or anything close to that, but passive aggressiveness is a toxic trait. Like, and you have a whole state that has essentially adopted this personality trait and, like, this social norm, and it's in retrospect not a healthy one. Like, it's very unhealthy.
Mhm.
So it's been very triggering in a lot of ways to deal with Minnesota passive aggressiveness. I'm working on it. So that's been a struggle. I'm not here to like break a whole social norm. Like, that's not my job, but
Mhm.
I will say that it is not healthy, and, like, it can be worked on.
Yeah, I mean, there should be a meme of, like, me living outstate thinking about Minnesota nice, and then me living in state thinking about Minnesota nice. Two different definitions for sure.
Oh
'Cause
yeah.
everyone thinks, "Oh, everyone's so nice there," but then you live here and you're like, "Well, they're nice, dot, dot, dot,"
Yeah.
right?
In retrospect, people are nice here. Like, people are friendly, a lot friendlier than other cities, even though it may not have a lot of, they don't see it as having a lot of depth.
Mhm.
Like how they say, like, they'll help you, but they won't invite you to your house or whatever
Mhm.
that saying is. Like, people won't even help you in Seattle. So
Mhm.
they have that going for them.
Mm.
Like, they are nice. There
Mhm.
is Minnesota nice, and there is Minnesota passive aggressive. I wouldn't say they're like the
Yeah.
same thing, but, like, undercover. They both exist.
Mhm, mhm. Well, and friend groups here too can be pretty strong. Like, people grew up with, their friends, and they don't really venture outside of that.
Yeah, and that's been kind of an experiment with my mini social meetups group, is that I mean, that might be true out of the cities. I don't know what that experience is like outside of the Twin Cities, so I can't speak to that.
Mhm.
But as far as the Twin Cities, there's a very diverse group of people here from all over. And through my meetup groups, there have been people who are from here looking to make new friends, born and raised here, people who moved away, moved back, and then, of course, people who moved here from other states.
Mhm. Mm.
I think it's easier to make friends here than people
Yeah.
make it out to be. But I get that tight-knit
Yeah.
group thing. Like, I mean, I have those people back home in my home state, and who knows what that would have looked like if I hadn't left.
Right.
So I get that.
Well, we have some room for improvement for sure, but we have a pretty good thing going on here generally, and
Yes.
thank you for, shining a spotlight on that. It's fun to vicariously live through your adventures. Before we wrap up, any advice or ideas for anybody looking to get into the creator influencer game?
Yeah, I'd say if you're looking to get into content creation, you don't need the fancy equipment to get started. If ever, it's a matter of just starting and doing it in a way that's authentic to you, whatever type of content you're making, because that's what people are going to be drawn to by the end of the day, is personalities. Businesses sell to personalities. Like, it's a whole marketing tactic. They create their customers' personality to sell to you. So you essentially are selling your personality for free and whatever that looks like on the internet. And then I wouldn't get too fancy with like edits and things like that. Just keep it simple. Simple, something you can manage and not get overwhelmed with. And I think at the end of the day, give yourself a lot of grace and then not get too wrapped up in numbers. Numbers is a big thing for me. I'd say numbers is not a big thing for me because I don't let myself get wrapped up in them. If I ever do, I have to catch myself because it really doesn't matter to me. Follower count. I've been making content when I had no followers. So I'd say if you're starting to get into it and you're at the beginning, don't stress the numbers at all. Like you'll find your audience one day. That might be a year from now, might be 2 years from now, it might be in a month. You just have to go for it and see how it goes.
It could be a small audience, but the right audience.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, that's more valuable these days.
This
anyways.
podcast is a niche of a niche in a state, right? So it's like, if it were a numbers game, like why even start, right? But if you can find your tribe, find a way to add value, get something out of it yourself, then yeah, you're off to the races. And you've been doing that for a while now. If people want to, we'll put your channels in the show notes. But if they want to look you up, like right now, where should they go and find you?
I'm at OnlyAubss with 2 S's. On TikTok and Instagram. Those are my main platforms. But yeah, thank you for having me. I don't get to talk about this stuff often with people. So
this was awesome.
Great.
Yeah, I learned a ton. And I love learning from folks doing it too. So yeah, incredible. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.